Daines.
Thank you, Chairman Barrasso, Ranking Member Tester. Thanks for pulling this hearing together. And I'd like to first welcome Dr. Sandra Boham. Good to have you here, the president of the Sailors Kootenai College from the great state of Montana.
Thank you.
It's good to have you here. Thanks for making the trip out. You know, Montana is home to 3 Bureau of Indian Education facilities and 7 tribal colleges and universities. But in a recent conversation with Loverty Erickson, he's superintendent of the Northern Cheyenne Tribal School, my office was horrified to learn that the school had a broken fire alarm system, not a single disability accessible bathroom, and it gets worse, no drinkable tap water on campus. In fact, the school was forced to purchase bottled water for the classrooms. There was 1 week this year when the purchase order for bottled water got held up, leaving teachers with no other choice than to bring in bottled water themselves for their students on their own dime. That kind of environment is not conducive to learning. Mr. Roberts, there's 225 students at that school. How in good conscience can we allow small children to be in a building like that?
We absolutely can't. It's not acceptable. And we need to, that's why when the GAO report came out, we moved swiftly to, one, we're hiring 7 new safety inspectors. 2, we are going to have every school inspected this year. And 3, it's going to be in the performance plan for those folks that are responsible for those positions.
And that GAO report, similar to I think what Senator McCain brought up, showed that there have been not a single health and safety inspection at any of Montana's BIA facilities from 2012 to 14. But I appreciate the follow-up that you listed. But the question is, what else is out there? If that was missed, have we gone through a thorough review of all the expectations? I assume this was somewhere codified that these inspections need to take place. What else isn't taking place?
So the other thing that we're doing is we've contracted with a company to prepare a report to look at what will it take over the next 5 years to bring all of the poor schools into good condition. And I expect to have that report in a couple of months. So that is number one. But number two...
With these inspections, though, are they part of an expectation that says this is something that you should do, is conduct
Yes.
these annual?
Yes.
So that was missed. I assume you went through and audited all your other requirements. What other inspections beyond this one weren't being completed or requirements that weren't being met?
I don't know the answer to that today, Senator. I can certainly provide an answer for the record, but I do want to say that part of our reorganization right now, as BIE operates, and as this committee is well aware, the functions for facilities are operated under our Deputy Assistant Secretary for Management and BIA, particularly out in the regions. Our reorganization, as we're moving forward to implement it now, all of those folks that are responsible for facilities will report directly to the BIE director so that they have line authority to address these issues rather than having to go across the department. And so the reorganization is key to addressing these situations
I
going
appreciate
forward.
the change in organization. I just would ask, perhaps a follow-up item, is what other requirements are set in the standards weren't being met? I assume this would almost be like a tip of an iceberg issue. I gotta believe there's other requirements that also aren't being met, and it'd be great to see what else you found and what action are being taken to remedy that. Countless studies have shown that academic achievement is linked to building conditions, and it's crucial we foster an environment best suited for learning for the sake of our tribal children, and especially when we get into really potentially life-threatening situations. So I'm gonna pivot over here and let me have a happier conversation here, Dr. Boham. In the work you're doing to preserve Native American languages, all Americans have a stake in the fight to preserve Native languages. They are a shared part of our national heritage. Last year, Senator Schatz, Murkowski, Sullivan, and I introduced an amendment which was subsequently enacted into public law to study the benefits of Native American language immersion education. Dr. Boham, I understand SKC is doing quite a bit of work on language and cultural revitalization. I'd like to hear about those efforts.
We are. We've been partnering over this last year to really revitalize and build the language effort in our community. So we do have a language immersion school that is operated by, it's a private tribal school. And our Head Start program is requiring now that all of their teachers have a year of language. So we've been working with those schools on preparing language teachers, and we will be putting forward a two-year degree in language teacher preparation. So Montana has a Class 7 certification for language teachers, but it's all around the language and culture piece. It doesn't require the methods and strategies and curriculum development that teachers need. And so this program we're putting together to address that specifically. And our goal is to create language teachers in Salish and in Kootenai. Because right now, with the need for language teachers, we can't meet it.
So with the investment you're making there, what in your eyes as a professional educator, what makes native language education so important?
Native language education is critical because that language contains the essence of our culture. It's what allows for our spiritual and ceremonial and cultural life to flourish. There are many aspects of the culture that have no English translation. And so we need to keep those native languages. But the other part of it is that it reinforces and builds that sense of students' identity, which we know contributes to their persistence and resilience in schools. Many times students will begin on a language path and then they are taking that home and educating their parents, and it reinforces that strength within their parents, because many people in our community around the issue of language are dealing with effects of historical trauma. And so building that strong sense of identity and how it contributes to their academic success is why language is critical, as is culture.
One quick question, I'm out of time, but I'll try to make this one fast. There's been some challenges I know with 3 tribal colleges participating in federal student loan programs. And I've supported and maintained that participation on a voluntary basis to alleviate the potential burdens on tribal college students. Could you briefly describe why is it difficult for TCU students to take on federal student loans?
Right. So there's only now 2 tribal colleges that currently do student loans. We are one of them. We have a person dedicated 100% to helping keep our student loan default rate below 30%. 30% for 3 years, and you're ineligible for all scholarship and Pell Grant and all of that. What happens is, because we have small numbers of students, it doesn't take very many to put you into that 30%. But greater than that is we work very hard to have scholarship opportunities for these students because we want them to graduate with their undergraduate degree, be it a 2-year or a 1-year certificate or a baccalaureate, with the least amount to no debt that they possibly can. Because we are educating people that we want to contribute within our own communities across the country, and every tribal college will tell you this. So if they come out of our schools and they have debt, and then they turn around and work in our communities, which typically have lower wages, they're not going to be able to do that. And so it's critical that we keep their debt level low, and particularly if we want them to go on for graduate programs, which tribal colleges need students to do. We want them to come out, go to work, be able to contribute, and not be suffering under that debt.
Thank you, Dr. Bohan. Appreciate it.